Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with HourTime and aBlogtoWatch. I have a very special guest, Mr. Tirath Kamdar with TrueFacet. Hey Tirath.
Hey Ariel, how's it going? Glad to be on.
We're doing something a little bit different this show because we want to hear all about TrueFacet, but also you and talking about buying watches online. Now, the basic premise of this conversation is that if you are someone that wants to buy watches online, as well as jewelry that you sell, there's a lot of options out there. It can be confusing to hear about, the various options. You want to get the right price. You want to get the right product. And I know personally that I've looked at watches a lot, over the years online, and I've spent so much time trying to figure out where to get things. Maybe that's a good opportunity for you to tell me why you even started TrueFacet and what this company is all about.
I started TrueFacet primarily because of the name True, and it's bringing transparency in a very opaque market. I mean, there's tens of thousands of millions of watches out there, and you never know what's real. There's a lot of counterfeits. Are you really getting a fair price? People need to understand those movements have not been switched out. And it's very important that you get an authenticity promise. And our whole premise from the business is to be able to find that watch you've always wanted at a great value and authenticity guarantee.
What's hot in demand right now? Like what is the type of watch that if I wanted, I'm going to be getting a price that's sort of commensurate with demand?
Like vintage Rolexes, 1960s, 1950s, they've done really well. And it's not
Is there a way to look for just vintage Rolex? I just looked at Rolex here. Is there a way of just finding?
Yeah, and what you're seeing, some of these watches that you're seeing up top here are some of the date just that are really hot as well. I would say the date just models right here is 16013 and 1601s are extremely hot. I mean, we sell several of those on a weekly and monthly basis. But no, currently what we do is we have vintage watch events on our site that we cater to vintage watch sales. So yes, we do have some collections that we put together on a weekly basis.
Okay, we were talking about vintage Rolex watches and some timepieces that were going at a premium. I think the larger discussion here is not only just to talk about TrueFacet, but to get some insight from Tirath on what's hot, where the good deals are, and basically how to shop for watches. I mean, really, the whole idea is, TrueFacet has a bunch of internal information that you can't see on the site, but we have Tirath here to tell us some of this interesting stuff. Why don't you mention some of those watches that you feel that maintain their values the best? I think people would really like to know that.
I mean, if you look at some of the Pateks, like you look at the Blue Dial Nautilus, right? It's a beautiful watch, or the 5711, which we've sold 3 of in the last couple of months. Very tough to come by, beautiful blue dial, and this one has actually the Tiffany & Company dial. It's going for almost $50,000. This watch really maintains its value really well. This watch is also coming from another collector that's reselling, in great condition, has the box and papers as well.
So what if I'm not interested in a specific product, but I just want someone to sort of hold my hand and walk me through stuff that's available? Let's say I have a particular amount of money I want to spend.
But one of the biggest things we have that we actually launched 6 months ago, and we get hundreds of customers per week on, is our personal shopping service, or we call it the luxury watch concierge service. Personal watch concierge service, which is it's also jewelry concierge service. So what if you're looking for that special thing for her, right? I mean, buy yourself an amazing new watch or splurge on a watch, but you may not want to forget her in the process. They'll not only hold your hand to find that perfect watch in your budget. We've had many customers come to us and say, just recently we had a person last week that needed to go wanted to get a Rolex, wanted to spend 8 to 10,000, wanted a pre-owned, but wanted to get a Rolex that used to be retail of 15,000 plus and still had box and papers. But at the same time, he needed to get a gift for his wife and spent for about $4,000. The concierge service found this person the perfect Rolex, which was a Daytona, and at the same time helped him get a Cartier love bracelet, white gold, for $3,800 for his wife. So he was able to go home with a watch for himself, but and make his wife happy. That's a pretty good day, right?
But it's interesting that means you can speak to a live person who will spend an hour with you on the phone at 2 a.m. Apparently.
Or text message, yes. I mean, we've had customer conversations for hours, just hand-holding them, and you're not paying extra for that either. You're still getting everything at the best fair value and authenticity promise comes with that certificate backed by our warranty. So it's exciting.
Okay, so let's talk about you. Now, you've been doing this for a while now, and you've had an opportunity to handle a lot of timepieces just like I have. What have you found yourself gravitating to in terms of watches that you've been wearing and the watches that you've been buying?
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite watches, I've been seeing a lot of watches coming to the marketplace, but when I take a step back, I really wear a watch because it's really an extension of my personality and it tells a story. So some of my favorite watches have been the Mega Spectre watch that came from the most recent Bond movie. We had 3 of them, we sold 2, and one of them was for myself. So I, of course, wanted to keep one.
I'm seeing 2 on the site here. There is the Seamaster 300 version and then the Aquaterra. Which was the one that you chose for yourself?
The 300 version.
Yes, the lollipop, as some people like to call it.
The lollipop. It's a great watch. Especially if you're into sort of old Omega Seamasters and them bringing back a certain style and then connecting it with the Bond movie. And I was actually I'm a big fan of James Bond movies. I've probably watched all of them 3 times already at least. And I guess it's a perfect watch. Again, I think a person should buy a watch not because for an investment purposes or not just to wear just because it's the hottest watch, but really what does that watch mean to you and connect with your personality. And this was a watch that I just loved the story behind it. And also, I love the look.
It's amazing that the brand is still able to offer this type of emotional experience even before you buy the watch, right? So you have a certain sense of sentimentality prior to you ever even putting on your wrist. And that's not easy to do. Would you agree?
It's not easy to do, but a lot of people have lived different stories in their life, right? And I feel there's always a watch for you. And it's really again, going back to something I said earlier, the stories behind the different watches, the items. I have people that have come through us in our personal shopping service saying, I want a watch and from 1977, and it has to be 1977, it has to be Omega. Why? Because I loved Omega back then, and I was born in 1977. And these are the reasons we hear all the time. And there's people who have been reselling watches, but they will never resell their first watch they ever got. It's really interesting to see, and we see it all the time with our sellers and customers. It is a very emotional experience to buy and sell watches, and that's an important part of the way we service customers is to really understand those emotional emotion. What was your first watch, Ariel?
Oh, well, people ask me this all the time. The thing is this, I had Casio watches up until I was 18 years old. And then I bought a Citizen watch. And the funny thing is the Citizen watch I bought, it was the first analog watch I ever bought. And I've never, ever, ever seen one like it anywhere. I've even shown it to people at Citizen, and they're like, we don't even know that we've made that watch. I think the first ever Swiss mechanical watch I bought was from a very small German company called Marcello C. I have no idea if they're still around. It's called the Nettuno 3. It was essentially a Submariner clone. It didn't have the same dial at all. But this brand, like I said, I had to go out and I had to discover this brand. This was hard, and I did it because of my ability to spend countless hours online looking at this stuff. And that's because I was young and I had not much to do. As an adult, we have less time to do that. And that's why I think that platforms like TrueFacet have an opportunity to help, tell people about new products that they might be interested in. And based upon the fact that consumers are getting savvier, what types of additional or new functionality will you start to see on TrueFacet that will make things easier or better for that savvy consumer to buy watches?
Yeah, and that's what we launched just yesterday, this program called True Trade, right? To be able to instantly trade in, and we'll give you valuations in less than 24 hours. And savvier consumers, what we're starting to find, will buy a watch and they want to keep changing a watch more often. When you trade in, very similar to the automobile industry, not only you're getting great value back for the item you're trading in, you're getting a certain amount off on the new item you're going to be receiving. And we do something very similar. So again, going back to our pricing calculator, we actually use that analysis to figure out, great, what's a fair trade-in value and what's a great discount on the new item. Here's a recent example. We got a Daytona, not the new strike, but a customer bought a year ago. He still had the box, the papers, and he wanted the Hublot Big Bang Aero watch. He actually traded it in for that watch, and we gave him about almost $10,000 back for that Daytona towards the Hublot, and he only had to pay $500 more for that Hublot.
What's a brand that's a good product? You look at it, you know it's a good product. Sales are not, there's not, let's just say there's not a lot of demand, so prices are relatively low, but you get a lot of watch for your money.
I think you're like a Tudor is a great example of that, right? And we've seen. I know we did a nice giveaway with you on a Tudor not too long ago, but
oh yeah, that was popular.
Yeah, and that was a nice watch too. But I mean, Tudor, for example, like a lot of people don't talk about this brand, right? I mean, even with us, like we collect a lot of data, right? We have millions of visitors a month. We collect a lot of information about who's engaging with what brand, who's talking about what brand with our concierge team. We have not seen much conversation on this brand, and I think it's a well-made watch. It's as good as some of the really expensive $5,000 to $10,000 type watches in certain expense, and it has a great look to it. Especially as a second-hand market, you're going to get a wonderful price for a Tudor. You're going to get an excellent discount off retail in the second-hand watch, so it's a beautiful watch to wear at a great value. So what's one of the watches nowadays that you're really been looking for?
Oh, that's a problem. I
like everything.
I was looking here actually at Breguet. I don't know where it was. I was looking at some Breguet watches, and I like Breguet a lot for a lot of reasons. I think it's a great brand. Prices are high, right?
But what's that one? I mean, you have a great watch on today as well. I mean, you were telling me about it earlier. Is that the new Emergency?
Oh yeah, this is the Breitling Emergency 2. So this is the watch that I don't know that I'd wear all the time. But it's actually quite comfortable. A couple of years ago when Breitling originally debuted this at Basel, I was like, this is insanely big because it's so mumuch larger than the Emergency 1, even though the Emergency 2 is much more modern because it has dual frequency. So you'll really you'll really be able to have your life saved. I've actually become more and more of a Rolex fan over the years. When I first started getting into watches, I didn't have anything against Rolex. They just really bored me. I found it to be a really boring watch. And now I have 3 Rolex watches, and I keep thinking about getting more of them.
Of course, everyone wants the new stainless Daytona ceramic, but
not me.
Yeah, I mean, again, not you. But yeah, I mean, it seems like the last 3 or 4 years they've been great. I love the vintage ones though, especially 1960s. We had one with like a beautiful red dial, and we had a nice sky blue dial. It's just unique and interesting, and nobody has them.
Tirath, thank you so much for speaking to us about TrueFacet, just chatting about watches and buying watches. I think this is interesting. I mean, clearly, you have TrueFacet. It's a platform that you want to promote because it's your company, and I get that. But, the reason we're chatting is because I like to talk to passionate people that are involved in the watch industry, because a lot of people that sell watches don't really care so much about watches. And so it's so great to know that you're so passionate about it. So everyone, you can go to TrueFacet.com for a lot of new watches and pre-owned watches, and you can get a concierge to help you. You can trade in your watch. They can sell your watch for you. What is it that you don't do, actually?
Well, we don't sell anything outside jewelry and watches.
Okay, so that's the hard limit right there.
But don't forget the jewelry, right? I mean, guys should never forget. If you're getting something great for yourself, I mean, don't forget the woman in your life.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, Ariel.